A grievous sorrow burdens the heart of a father or mother when the children they have loved, guided, and sacrificed for begin to show disregard. It is not merely that they forget to say thank you, nor that they express their own opinions boldly, but that the spirit of reverence toward you, their parent, has faded. To see a son speak as though his father were his equal, to hear a daughter respond to her mother with coldness or contempt, is a deep wound to the soul. Yet, what is to be done? Shall you lament over it and do nothing? Shall you raise your voice in anger, demanding the respect that has waned? No, there is a better way, a path of wisdom, a course that will in time restore what has been lost. There is no sorrow quite like speaking and knowing that your words carry no weight. Once your voice was the guiding light of your child's early years. They clung to every syllable, looking to you for wisdom, for comfort, for direction. But now they turn away mid-sentence, uninterested, unmoved, as if your counsel were mere noise in the wind. A father speaks, but his son does not heed. A mother warns, but her daughter disregards. It is a bitter reality, one that pierces deeper than a sword. What has become of the reverence that once adorned your household? This dismissal is not always spoken outright. It is often more subtle, yet just as wounding. You give a command, and it is ignored. You offer wisdom, and it is met with a sigh or an eye roll. You warn of dangers ahead, and yet they walk the path heedless, as though your years of experience mean nothing. Their indifference is not accidental. It is a sign of something far greater. It reveals a heart that no longer treasures parental guidance, a spirit that has been swayed by the voices of the world, convinced that the wisdom of age has nothing to offer. Yet do not despair. The temptation in such a moment is to raise your voice, to demand obedience, to insist upon respect, as though it can be forced into being. But true reverence is not won by sheer authority. It is earned through influence. A father may shout his commands, but if his life does not command respect, his words will remain powerless. A mother may plead for consideration, but if she has lost her dignity in the eyes of her child, her pleas will fall upon deaf ears. Respect is not taken, it is given freely by those who see its worth. Ask yourself, then, what has caused this dismissal? Is it the natural rebellion of youth, or has something in your own conduct weakened the power of your voice? Have you spoken carelessly in the past, making promises and breaking them? Have you corrected with harshness rather than with love? Have your own actions contradicted the very lessons you seek to teach? A child who grows weary of words is often one who has learned that words are empty. But if they have seen truth lived out, if they have seen wisdom in action, then your words will not return void. The remedy, therefore, is not found in louder speeches or sterner warnings, but in the quiet restoration of your own integrity. Let your speech be weighty because your life is weighty. Let your counsel be heard because your actions have proven their wisdom. Do not waste words where example is needed. Speak with patience, and let your life reflect the wisdom you wish them to heed. In time, the child who dismissed you will remember. Remember that your words were steady, that your guidance was true, and that the voice they once ignored was the very one they needed all along. There was a time when your words stood firm in the home, when the boundaries you set were respected, and your guidance was followed with trust. But now a storm has risen. The child who once sought your wisdom now questions your decisions. The son who once obeyed now resists, and the daughter who once honored your instruction now meets it with defiance. No longer do they simply disregard your counsel in silence. They challenge it openly, standing in opposition as though you were merely an equal, rather than the God-ordained authority over their life. This is no small offense, for it strikes at the very order of the household, and threatens to uproot the respect upon which a home is built. To see a child openly rebel is not only a grief, it is a great danger. When authority is scorned, chaos follows. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And when a son lifts himself against his father, or a daughter refuses to heed her mother, the peace of the home is shaken. It begins with small acts of resistance, a refusal to listen, a dismissive remark, an argument over a simple instruction, but left unchecked, it grows into outright defiance, where the child speaks as though they are the master of their own way, disregarding the wisdom of years for the folly of youth. The parent who tolerates such defiance will soon find themselves overrun, their authority trampled beneath the pride of an ungoverned heart. Yet, how shall you respond? The temptation is to meet defiance with equal force, to demand respect with raised voice and heavy hand. And while discipline is necessary, one must not mistake authority for tyranny. A parent who rules by fear alone may gain outward obedience, but never inward respect. A child may submit for a season under pressure, yet in their heart rebellion brews, waiting for the moment when they are free to cast off restraint. No. The authority of a parent must be established not merely by demand, but by the unwavering consistency of their leadership. A father must be firm yet just. A mother must be resolute yet wise. Together they must uphold the order of the home with both discipline and dignity. A child who challenges authority must not be ignored, for rebellion left unchallenged is like a fire left to burn. It will consume everything in its path. But neither must a parent resort to wrathful anger, as though force alone could restore respect. Instead, let the parent stand immovable, neither swayed by pleading nor provoked by insolence. A command given must be upheld. A rule set must not be broken without consequence. The child must come to see that the authority of a parent is not a mere suggestion, but a firm and loving safeguard placed for their own good. But even as you stand firm, examine yourself. Has your authority been weakened by inconsistency? Have you made empty threats, promising discipline yet failing to follow through? Have you ruled with harshness, provoking your child to resentment rather than drawing them to obedience? A parent who wields authority without love raises a rebel, but a parent who exercises love without authority raises a fool. Both firmness and compassion must dwell together if respect is to be restored. In time, if you are steadfast, your child will learn. Though they may resist now, the day will come when they will remember that your discipline was wisdom, that your guidance was truth, and that the authority they once scorned was the very thing that preserved them. But you must not waver. Stand firm in your calling, lead with unwavering conviction, and let your authority be established not by fear, but by the weight of righteous leadership. Then, when the storm has passed, you will find that the house has stood strong, and your child, once defiant, will return, not as an enemy, but as one who finally understands the value of the respect they once withheld. A parent's heart knows the weight of sacrifice. From the moment a child is born, the father and mother pour out their strength, their time, their very lives to nurture, protect, and provide. Countless sleepless nights, unseen tears, weary hands laboring for their comfort, all done without complaint, without expectation of reward. Yet what sorrow it brings when these sacrifices are met with indifference, when the child who once clung to you in need now walks past you without acknowledgment, when the one you provided for takes all you have given as though it were his right, showing no gratitude, offering no consideration. It is a grief known to many parents, a silent wound in the heart, for love given should never be repaid with neglect. Gratitude is the mark of a humble and wise heart, but where pride and selfishness take root, thanksgiving withers. The ungrateful child does not merely forget to say thank you. They begin to live as if no thanks is required. They assume the meals set before them, the roof over their head, the countless provisions of life are but common things. Expected rather than cherished, they do not pause to think of the hands that have labored, the hearts that have endured burdens to make their life comfortable. Instead, they take without acknowledgment, demand without appreciation, and behave as though the parent is nothing more than a servant bound to their will. Such a spirit of ingratitude does not arise suddenly. It creeps in slowly, often unnoticed. A small complaint over what is given, a growing expectation of provision without acknowledgment, a dismissal of the efforts made on their behalf. Over time, what was once received with joy is now taken for granted. And worse still, when correction is offered, when the parent dares to remind them of their duty, they scoff as though respect is an outdated notion, as though gratitude is a burden too heavy for them to bear. Oh, how far the heart has strayed, when a child can look upon the love of their parents and feel nothing. Yet, dear parent, do not despair, nor let bitterness take hold of your soul. The temptation may arise to withdraw your love, to close your heart, and say, "If they do not appreciate what I give, then I shall give no more." But love does not seek its own reward. A true father, a true mother, continues to give, not because of what they receive in return, but because love is their calling. This does not mean enabling selfishness or indulging disrespect. Rather, it means standing firm in wisdom, teaching the child that gratitude is not merely about words, but about the posture of the heart. One must also ask, have we as parents unknowingly contributed to this ingratitude? Have we given too freely without teaching the value of sacrifice? Have we shielded them from hardship so thoroughly that they now assume all blessings come without cost? A child who has never been denied may never learn to appreciate, and a child who has never labored may never understand the weight of another's work. If respect is to be regained, then entitlement must be broken. Let them see the cost of what they receive. Let them bear responsibility. Let them labor for what they desire, so that they may learn the worth of all they have taken for granted. Discipline, too, must not be neglected. If a child is ungrateful, they must be corrected, not merely with words, but with actions that teach them honor. Privileges should not be given freely to those who scorn them. A parent who continues to pour out blessings upon a thankless child only deepens their selfishness. Let there be boundaries, let there be lessons that humble the heart, and let them come to see that nothing in life, especially love, is owed, but rather it is a gift to be cherished. Yet above all, be patient. A heart that has grown cold does not warm again in an instant. There may be days when your kindness is still met with indifference, when your sacrifice still goes unacknowledged. But persist in what is right. Continue to teach. Continue to love. Continue to model the very gratitude you wish to see in them. In time, if wisdom prevails and discipline is upheld, they will remember. One day, when they are older, when they stand in the place of sacrifice themselves, they will look back and see. They will remember the hand that cared for them, the heart that never ceased to love them, and gratitude will return, not as a mere word, but as a deep and abiding respect. And so, parent, take heart. Though today they may seem blind to all you have done, though their words may be careless and their actions ungrateful, do not let weariness overcome you. Your labor is not in vain. The seeds of love, though unseen now, will one day bear fruit. Stand firm, walk in wisdom, and know that in the end love and truth will prevail. There was a time when your child's words were filled with warmth, when their little voice called upon you with sweetness, and their heart was tender toward you. But now the tenderness has been replaced with sharpness, and the voice that once spoke with affection now speaks with irritation, sarcasm, or even disdain. Their words no longer carry the weight of honor, but instead they cut, dismiss, or mock. What sorrow it is for a parent to hear their own child speak to them as though they were but an equal, or worse, as though they were a burden to be endured, rather than a figure to be revered. At first it may seem small, a sigh of exasperation, a careless remark, a sarcastic response to instruction. Yet these small acts of disrespect grow into a pattern, and soon they speak to you with the same sharpness they reserve for a rival. They roll their eyes, they scoff at your wisdom, they respond with biting words, treating their own parent with less courtesy than they would a stranger. This is not the natural boldness of youth, nor the mere assertion of independence. It is a dangerous unraveling of the order that God has ordained within the home. Words are not just sounds upon the tongue. They reveal the condition of the heart. A child who speaks harshly to a parent has already allowed dishonor to take root within. This is not merely a lapse in manners, but a deeper reflection of their regard for you. When reverence is cast aside in speech, it is not long before it is cast aside in action. A sharp tongue today becomes open defiance tomorrow. An unbridled voice soon leads to an unbridled life. Therefore let not this spirit be excused as mere youthful folly, but let it be addressed with the weight it deserves. Yet, how does a parent respond to such behavior? The temptation is great to meet harshness with harshness, to respond to sarcasm with rebuke drenched in anger. But a raised voice does not correct a disrespectful tongue. It only deepens rebellion. If a parent allows their own words to be ruled by wrath, they lose the very authority they seek to uphold. A home where sharp words fly from both parent and child is a home stripped of peace, a battlefield where neither side wins. Therefore the parent must stand firm, but also wise. Correction must be given, but not in a spirit of vengeance. The first step in restoring honor in speech is to model it. A father who demands respect but speaks with bitterness to his wife will not be honored. A mother who corrects her children harshly yet expects their words to be gentle is like one who sows thorns but expects roses to grow. A child learns first by observation, and if a home is filled with sharp words, they will wield the same weapon against you. Therefore, let your own tongue be governed by wisdom. Speak firmly but with dignity. Correct but with patience. If honor is to be reclaimed, it must be first demonstrated. Yet discipline must not be neglected. A child who speaks with sarcasm or cruelty must not be left unchecked. If they are allowed to wound with words without consequence, they will only grow bolder in their disrespect. Let there be clear boundaries. Let them know that the tongue which speaks dishonor will bear the weight of correction. The child who mocks must be humbled, not in cruelty, but in wisdom. Let privileges be withdrawn until reverence is restored. Let them learn that the parent is not a peer, but one whom God has placed in authority over them. And yet, let not your correction be rooted merely in punishment, but in restoration. Ask yourself, what has caused this bitterness in their speech? Is it merely the influence of the world, or have wounds been left unhealed? Has there been neglect, inconsistency, or a lack of tenderness in your own approach? A child who feels unseen, unheard, or unloved may turn to sharpness as a shield. If the heart is wounded, words will follow. Therefore discipline must be paired with understanding. Correct their speech, but also draw near to their heart. One must also consider what influences have shaped their words. The world does not teach children to honor their parents. It encourages them to challenge, to mock, to treat authority as a thing to be scorned. If a child spends their time in places or with people who feed this spirit, it will flourish. Therefore, guard their hearts and minds. What do they watch? Who do they listen to? What company do they keep? The child who walks with the disrespectful will become like them. A wise parent does not only correct behavior, they correct the influences that shape behavior. And in all of this, be patient. The tongue is not tamed in a day, and a heart that has grown cold does not warm instantly. There will be moments of frustration, moments when the sharp words continue despite your efforts. But do not grow weary in doing what is right. Stand firm in correction, stand firm in wisdom, and above all, stand firm in love. A child may resist for a season, but love that is steadfast, discipline that is consistent, and wisdom that is unwavering will, in time, bring them back to honor. So take heart, dear parent. Though today their words may be harsh, though their tone may be sharp, this is not the end of the story. If you walk in wisdom, if you hold fast to righteousness, if you teach them not just with discipline but with example, then the day will come when they will look upon you with new eyes. They will remember the firmness that did not waver, the patience that did not break, and the love that endured even through their rebellion. And when that day comes, The tongue that once spoke with harshness will speak with honor once more. There was a time when your child longed for your presence. Their little feet would run to greet you. Their eyes would light up when you entered the room, and their heart found safety and joy in your nearness. But now a sorrowful change has come. The child who once clung to you now withdraws. The one who sought your attention now avoids it. They find reasons to be elsewhere. Their answers grow short, and their time in your presence feels like a burden rather than a blessing. A silent distance forms, and though you are still their parent, it feels as if their heart is far from you. At first it may seem like a passing phase. They grow older, they develop interests of their own, and they naturally begin to build a life beyond the walls of home. But there is a difference between maturity and neglect, between independence and avoidance. A child who is merely growing does not cease to honor their parents. They do not shut them out as though their presence is unwanted. When a son or daughter actively distances themselves from the one who raised them, it is not a mark of growth. It is a sign of a deeper trouble within the heart. Avoidance does not happen without reason. Somewhere a fracture has occurred. Perhaps resentment has taken root, or perhaps distractions have drawn their heart away. It may be that the world has whispered lies into their ear, convincing them that a parent's wisdom is outdated, that independence means separation, or that love can be replaced with selfish pursuits. The influences they surround themselves with shape their affections, and if those influences do not honor the family, they will encourage estrangement rather than closeness. And yet sometimes the fault does not lie with external influences, but within the walls of the home itself. A child who has felt unseen, unheard, or unvalued will naturally withdraw. Have they felt that their voice carries no weight? Have they sensed that their dreams, their thoughts, or their emotions are overlooked? A child who has been met only with correction, but not with compassion, will soon begin to seek comfort elsewhere. A parent must ask, has my love been evident? Have I been approachable? Have I created a home where my child feels welcomed? Or have I unknowingly pushed them away? But regardless of the cause, a parent must not be passive when they see this distance growing. Many, out of fear of rejection, choose to ignore it, telling themselves that it is normal or that the child will return on their own. But neglecting the gap only allows it to widen. If a parent does not pursue the heart of their child, something else will. The world stands ready to replace the love and wisdom of a parent with its own empty substitutes. The void must not be left unfilled. How then shall a parent respond? First, by refusing to become bitter or withdrawn in return. The temptation may rise to say, if they do not want to spend time with me, then so be it. But this is the response of a wounded heart, not of wisdom. A parent's love must endure even in the face of rejection. If a child withdraws, the parent must draw nearer, not with force but with persistence. Love must remain evident, not only in words but in action. Secondly, create moments of connection. A child who avoids you may resist a deep conversation, but they may still be reached in small, consistent ways. Take interest in their world. Ask about their passions, engage in their activities, and make time for things that matter to them. If a child feels that their parent is only present to give instruction or correction, they will resist closeness. But if they see a parent who delights in knowing them, who takes joy in their victories and cares for their struggles, their heart will begin to soften. Thirdly, be intentional with your time together. A home where everyone simply coexists is not the same as a home where hearts are knit together. Create traditions, set aside moments for meaningful conversation, and ensure that time together is not just an afterthought, but a priority. It does not need to be extravagant. Sometimes the smallest moments hold the greatest impact. A simple walk, a shared meal, an unhurried evening. These are the places where relationships are rebuilt. Yet alongside these efforts, a parent must also be willing to address underlying wounds. If there has been hurt, if there has been misunderstanding, let there be space for honest conversation. Do not assume that your child will speak openly without invitation. Ask them, what has caused this distance? What is in their heart that they have not shared? And when they speak, listen, not to respond, not to correct immediately, but to truly hear. A child who feels heard will begin to open their heart again. But even as you pursue reconciliation, do not lose sight of discipline. Love does not mean allowing disrespect. If a child has embraced a spirit of dishonor, if they avoid their parents not out of hurt, but out of rebellion, then correction must come. Privileges must not be granted freely to those who reject the foundation of the home. Just as love must be steadfast, so must authority be firm. A child who learns that avoidance carries no consequence will continue in it. Therefore let wisdom guide the balance between discipline and grace. And through all of this be patient. A heart that has withdrawn does not return overnight. There will be moments of frustration, times when it feels as though your efforts are unrecognized, but do not waver. A child who is pursued with love, with wisdom, and with consistency will one day see the value of what they have distanced themselves from. Many who once pulled away later return, their hearts softened by the unwavering love of a parent who never gave up on them. So take heart, dear parent. Though today your child may seek distance, though they may seem uninterested in your presence, do not let weariness take hold of you. Continue to love, continue to pursue, continue to be the steady presence they may not yet realize they need. For one day they will look back and see the love that never left, the arms that never closed, and the parent who stood firm when all else wavered. And in that day they will return, not as one who merely shares a house, but as one who once again cherishes the bond of family. There was once a time when your child looked up to you with admiration. They hung upon your words, followed your guidance, and sought your approval. But now something has changed. Their tone has become sharp, their obedience reluctant, and their reverence a thing of the past. The respect that once flourished within them has been uprooted, and in its place you see the influences of a world that teaches rebellion rather than honor, defiance rather than obedience. Where once they regarded you with affection, they now mimic the attitudes and words of those who have no regard for authority. It is no mystery how such a change has come about. The world in which we live does not teach children to honor their parents. It teaches them to resist, to challenge, and to mock. It fills their minds with messages that tell them that parents are outdated, that authority is oppressive, and that wisdom lies not in the voices of their elders, but in their own self-made opinions. The culture around them glorifies independence not in its true, responsible form, but in reckless defiance. It exalts those who reject discipline, and scorns those who walk in obedience. At first it may begin subtly, a sigh of frustration when corrected, a sarcastic remark, an unwillingness to listen. But these small acts of dishonor are like the first cracks in a wall. If left unchecked, they widen into full rebellion. A child who imitates the world's disrespect in small ways today will grow into one who openly defies tomorrow. It is not simply a phase of youth. It is the slow erosion of a heart once tender toward parental authority. If a parent does not act swiftly, what begins as mere attitude will become their settled character. Where, then, do these influences come from? They come from the entertainment they consume, the friends they keep, the voices they listen to. The world does not teach respect, it mocks it. In their music, in their television, in the voices of celebrities and influencers. The idea of a parent's authority is ridiculed. Children are shown again and again that rebellion is a virtue, and that to submit to a father or mother is to be weak. It is no surprise that after constant exposure to such messages, their hearts begin to reflect the same spirit. And what of their companions? A child who surrounds themselves with those who mock authority will not long hold to respect themselves. The influence of friends is powerful, shaping not only behavior but the very heart. If their closest confidants speak of their parents with contempt, it will not be long before they do the same. It is often in these circles that dishonor is not only tolerated, but encouraged. A son who once honored his father will soon be ashamed to do so if his peers consider it foolish. A daughter who once obeyed her mother will begin to resent her if her friends mock such obedience. Yet let the parent not be blind to their own influence. If a home is filled with anger, if respect is demanded but not given, if a child has seen their parents speak to each other or to others with scorn, they will mirror the same. A father who dishonors his own authorities cannot expect his son to honor him. A mother who speaks with bitterness cannot expect her daughter to speak with grace. If the child has learned disrespect from within their own home, it is no wonder they imitate the world, for they have already seen its ways reflected before them. But let not despair overtake the heart of the parent who sees this change in their child. The battle is not yet lost. The world has taken hold of their mind, but it is not beyond the reach of restoration. A parent must stand firm, not with weak permissiveness, but with unwavering resolve. If the child has adopted the ways of the world, they must be confronted, not in anger, but with the authority given by the sacred bond of parenthood. The child must know that dishonor will not be tolerated, that respect is not optional, but required. First, let correction be swift and clear. Do not allow sarcasm, rudeness, or open defiance to go unchecked. The longer it is tolerated, the deeper it will take root. Make it known that words and attitudes of disrespect have consequences. Let privileges be withdrawn, let correction be firm, and let it be understood that in this home honor is not a thing to be cast aside. A child who learns that dishonor carries no cost will only continue in it. Second, let the influences of the world be examined. What voices have taken the place of a parent's? What entertainment fills their minds? What friendships shape their thoughts? If a child spends their days consuming rebellion, they will act in rebellion. A wise parent does not only correct the child, but also guards the gates of their heart. If they are drowning in the spirit of the world, then it is the duty of the parent to pull them back before they are wholly lost. Third, let the parent be a living example of the honor they wish to see. If they desire respect, let them first show it, not in weakness, not in surrender to the child's every whim, but in strength and dignity. Let them speak with authority, but also with kindness. Let them be firm, yet just. Let them demonstrate through their own lives what it means to honor others, to walk in wisdom, and to reject the world's spirit of dishonor. A child learns not only from instruction, but from observation. And above all, let there be unshaken perseverance. A child who has learned the ways of the world will not unlearn them overnight. There will be resistance, there will be testing, there will be moments of discouragement. But let the parent not waver. Let them stand upon the foundation of their role, knowing that they have been placed in this position not by accident, but by divine design. The world may seek to steal the heart of their child, but it is the parent's duty to fight for them. The time will come when the child who has followed the world will see the emptiness of its ways. They will learn, whether sooner or later, that rebellion brings no peace, that defiance yields no lasting joy, and in that day they will look back to the home that stood firm, to the parent who did not yield, and they will know where wisdom truly lay. So take heart, dear parent. Though today your child imitates the world, though they may speak with its voice and act with its defiance, do not lose hope. Stand firm, guard their heart, correct with wisdom, and love with unwavering strength. For the day will come when the voices of the world fade, and they will remember the truth that was taught in the home that never wavered. And in that day honor will be restored, and they will return to the respect that was once lost.